G'day Raiders family, it's Bourkeys here and welcome to this week's post-match review, my top 10 review of our match against the Broncos, round 6 last Sunday. And I must say that was a terrifically gritty win. So important for the confidence of our year. And just the mental attitudes shown from our guys. The big thing with that type of pressure down 16-14 is the toughness under pressure of our players this year. As has been spoken about the last week, and as superseded what I'm about to say, you can easily look back at history at 2018 and understand some of the heartbreaking losses that we got last year. But thankfully, these types of wins in hard, tough conditions, those results of last year start to dissolve somewhat. And that win down 16-14, we could have folded. The Broncos were on a bit of a roll, but we held our nerve, and we didn't deviate from our game plan. We didn't try and have panic attack and give away stupid penalties. We reset and reloaded, and that's really important when you're behind now, and that's what some of these more mature sides do, the likes of Melbourne, the Storm and the Rabbitohs. If there's a pressure situation, when they're being challenged, they reset and reload and draw back into their own game plans. And I think this is the maturity our side now is starting to develop with a number of our plays and our players that we can quickly adapt without talking about it. Every player sort of knows they need to reset and reload their own ability and their own game plan for the better of the team. And that was really pleasing to see at 16-14 down. We come home with a wet sail and put the Broncos to bed. So let's go into the top 10. I want to start with Dynamis Louis at number 1. Now, I'm not saying this, but this is a known fact. You need these types of ordinary players to do extraordinary things. I'm in no way saying Dynamis is an ordinary player. A lot of other people do inside of our own supporter base and external. But these types of guys you need to win premierships. Louis on the weekend was outstanding. For those who want to go back and look at the first 15, 20 minutes he was on the field, some of his runs back through the ruck, right through the meat and the heart of the Broncos' defensive line were quite outstanding. And it's these types of plays that open up the edges and the outskirts of the wingers and the centres to really do some damage. And some of Louis' runs were absolutely first class. I don't think there was not one occasion when he didn't have 3 or 4 defenders on him. And that stuff's worth its gold to the side. Now you can go and ask the rest of the A-grade squad what they think of Dynamis Louis, and they will rave about him, his commitment and his passion, but just his hardness and grit to do those crappy runs that no one wants to do. So he was my top number 1 this week for the way that he played. I thought he was outstanding. Number 2, same again, Ryan Sutton. Just a hard-nosed, gritty Northern Englander. Once again, just fantastic with what he did around the rucks. He had a lot of brutality with his rucks. And what I like about Sutton, he leads with his chest forward and over the line. So he's a very hard man to contain, running sort of one out. And he picked Milford out a number of times and really worked Milford over in trying to do one-on-one tackles with him. Milford's one-on-one defence is very soft. So what that was forcing the likes of Gillette and Haas and those guys to come in and help Milford because he could not contain Sutton one-on-one. And that was a big win for us. Once again, if you go back and look at some of Ryan Sutton's runs throughout the course of the 80 minutes, he really mainlined Milford a hell of a lot to try and bring in those defenders on Milford's outside and inside. So it was a terrific effort from Ryan Sutton and becoming a mainstay of our pack as well. Number 3, I've gone for Nick Cotric. Now, I've read a couple of forums the last few weeks where people are starting to get disappointed with Nick's form compared to 2018, compared to 2017. History can be a hard taskmaster. Nick came on to our scene like a bombshell. It's hard to remember the guy's still only 20. He plays like he's 24, 25, 26 with his maturity. So we just need to be patient here, guys. I don't think Nick's doing anything wrong. I think he was our top metre eater on the weekend with about 150 metres. For a winger, that is not a shabby effort. Now, if we go to the well too often with these types of guys, it's going to run dry. So we need to be patient. I don't think Nick's doing anything wrong. He's going to be a 250 game player plus for this club. And I expect him, once Jared decides to hang up the boots in 2 or 3 years' time, Nick will take ownership of that left centre position. But I think Nick Cotric's been great for us this year. Sure, has not scored as many tries as probably 18 or 17, but you've got to understand, guys, sides are now doing their homework on the likes of Nick Cotric. So they know the angles they've got to be on him, where they should be positioned when he makes his plays, and just areas around his game that they're trying to highlight in relation to weaknesses that they can exploit. So we just got to be a bit patient with Nick. He's certainly been touted as a state of origin winger at least this year, and rightly so, with some of the injuries that New South Wales now have. But once again, we just have to let this guy mature. As I said, he's still only 20. He's still growing into his body. And I think he's going to be around in the lime green for many years to come. Number 4, I've gone for Jordan Rapana. Once again, Jordan's start this year has not been earth-shattering. Rapana has only really kicked once against the Cowboys with BJ's thrown to the post. But once again, Jordan just doing those little things for the team. Those starts out of dummy half on the weekend were brilliant. The bring back, because we don't have the big bodies anymore like Paulo or Bordy to make those big meters to scatter bodies. So the likes of our back five, particularly Jordan and Nick and CNK, they are getting those really critical meters. Jordan runs through those ruck, his dart left, his dart right. They tie defensive lines out and the cracks are going to appear. So Jordan's game on the weekend, while it may seem boring to other people, for a purist like myself and other Raiders fans, it was a joy to watch because he really took a lot of that heavy grunt off our forwards. Number 5, I've gone for Jack. Now, nowhere near as many mistakes last week from Jack, which was fantastic. I think he had 6 or 7 last week. This week, I think he only had 2, maybe 3. I think it was 2. I mean, obviously, the scoot out of the defensive line to let Nikorima in, he didn't communicate with Jared at all. He raced up and panicked a little bit and tried to outthink Nikorima by darting off the line. He's got to do that. He's got to let Jared know he's going to do that so Jared can push in just in case. And that's exactly what happened. Jack went up too quick. Nikorima was able to skip on the outside and Jared was left on his man and the gap just opened like the Sydney Heads. So once again, that type of situation is just a maturity thing with Jack. But he's 40-20. I don't know whether he mishit it. I don't care if he mishit it. It was a great kick, and once again, just that little momentum shift we need at that critical time. And these are the types of plays and players who now have that 50, 100 game maturity that can do things like that. And Jack's in that echelon right now of being a mature first grader. So that really got us on the front foot. I thought his defence once again was outstanding, other than the Nikorima miss. And his left foot kicks are really developing beautifully. A number of times on the weekend, a kick down to that left corner in the second half particularly, where he forced Darius Boyd to kick it over the sideline to get the scrum back. And then the other one where he also handed into the corner to get Kahu to bring it out. Those things really lift sides when they can get sides into a corner and knowing they can really get some big hits on them in the next 3 or 4 rucks. So top-notch, Jack. Number 6, I've gone for Havili. I thought his carries on the weekend off the bench were fantastic. Once again, bench players need to give that extra 1% and have that impact. And it's always important for our bench to beat the opposition's bench with impact plays and the way that they create a difference when they come on. I thought Savili on the weekend was awesome with his run backs, particularly his first one, I think from the kickoff when he first came on, when he juggled along the dead ball line, hit it up and got about 30 metres into the field of play. They're big motivational moments, big momentum swings for us when we're playing the first set of 6 on our 30-metre line. We're pretty safe to get it at least to the opposition's 40 or 30 for a good solid kick. So those first 1 or 2 rucks are critical for us, and Havili's really providing that grunt and go forward that we need off the bench. Number 7, I've gone for BJ. For some reason, with some of our Raiders fans, this guy's sort of enigmatic, meaning he's hard to understand. He seems a bit mysterious to try and read him. BJ's game on the weekend was beast mode. I think he only made one mistake, which was at pace when he tried to get the ball to Jordan. There was an overlap, and the ball unluckily just flicked out of his hands. But by the by, I think this year BJ has just matured fantastically. The errors, the hot-headedness is there sometimes, but I think he's refined it big time now to play more that team game. I'd love to see him in a New South Wales jersey. I think it's overdue. However, I just don't think the New South Wales selectors will pick him for whatever reason, which is from a selfish perspective, great for the Raiders. But once again, BJ's just really playing that great team game now. His defence with John Bateman, if you go back and watch most of our games this year, there's been very few, if any, tries scored when Bateman and BJ are defending together. They communicate really well. It's good that Bateman's light on his feet and can easily push out to help BJ a bit wider. And BJ, because he pushes up and in, is always close to John Bateman to help out in defence. So it's a really nice balance with their defensive strengths, where Bateman moves well left and right, BJ pushes up and then pushes into the left to get closer to John Bateman's shoulder to help in defence as well. So those two are really potent. And you could see on the weekend the way they were starting to combine. Bateman's set up a BJ's second try where he took 4 defenders with him. BJ came beautifully inside, sweated on the offload, and it was just instinct. Just the call, the pop-up, the teamwork, the confidence to get there. Those things all go well, guys, only 6 rounds in when you've got a new combination on an edge with Bateman and BJ just starting to click and just starting to put some doubt in opposition minds when they're looking at their weekly game plan about how they attack or defend the Raiders. I can guarantee the likes of Bateman and BJ and Rapana on that right edge are going to be in the top 3 of opposition coaches, giving them headaches how they're going to combat it. Number 8, I've gone for our speed. Now, I think our line speed on the weekend, I could see the first 5 or 10 minutes was exemplary. We really got up in the Broncos' faces. To the Broncos' credit, they didn't wilt as much as I thought they would. They never had as many mistakes as I thought they would. I thought we'd be able to get into the younger guys' heads a bit more with their maturity, but the Broncos held fast pretty well, but our speed did not detract 1 minute. I'd like to see a little bit more speed in attack where we keep the ball in play a bit more. I feel we can do a little bit more of second, third phase offloads, particularly with Papali, Havili, Sia, those types of guys to give Hodjo a little bit more room and time out of dummy half if we can win the ruck. So I think our second and third phase plays we can really work on, but we've got a fantastic base there now at 5-1 to start to do and try those sorts of things at training, particularly with some of these lesser sides that are now injury hit and their confidence starting to get a bit shot. If we can get some type of momentum with our offloads and our second and third phase play, particularly with CNK and Nick and Jared, it's just going to add volumes to the way that we attack. Number 9, I've gone for our depth. Now, we've had Horsburgh, Hudson Young, and now JJ Collins all in the space of 3-4 weeks come in and have a taste of first grade. We've still got Emre Gula yet. We've still got Royce Hunt yet. And these other guys floating around. That augurs well for us. We're only 6 rounds in, or should I say 20% of the season's now already over, the home and away rounds. So to have 3 guys like that, young guys get a taste of it, is fantastic for our depth. Those guys will come back in eventually throughout the year. I thought JJ Collins' time on the field, he just once again looked like he belonged there, as did Hudson Young. I thought was very strong on the weekend. We've seen what Horsburgh can do. This is awesome for Raiders depth, guys. We're going to need these guys fit and firing throughout the year, and for them to get a taste of the plays and the moves and the speed is just fantastic for us so early in the year. And the last one I've actually gone for is the noise. Now, what I mean by the noise, as once again some commentators and very good blogs have already noted in some of their other articles, is we're now starting to get noticed by the media and other fans. Now, those sorts of things creates noise in our players' background. So I think we're mature enough, and Ricky's certainly been there, done that, to block it out. But we've just got to be careful. That type of thing is now around. And as we were the hunter at the start of the year, in some sides' eyes, we're now becoming the hunted. We're 5-1. We're equal top with the 3 big heavyweights, Roosters, Storm and Rabbitohs. So sides are really sitting up and taking notice and be a lot more in depth with their weekly analysis of where they can challenge us. So the most important part about the noise, if you can, is you block it out and you don't deviate what you do week in, week out with the game plan. You bring it back to a team level, not an individual level. You play your role as the individual, but it's all about team focus. And we just got to get rid of the noise out of our head. We're on the road the next 3 weeks, which is quite good. I think that will bind us as a team even more by having, even though the Penrith game's classified as a home game at Mudgee, we're still going away to Mudgee. So we're going to be away for that. We're away for the Eagles. We're away for Magic Round with the Roosters. So being away from Canberra for the next 3 weeks, just in our own cocoon to worry about ourselves, I think is a bonus right now at this time of the year. We can really gel together as one and really just worry about ourselves and not all the fanfare and the media articles and we're doing this and we're doing that. We haven't done a lot yet. We're 5-1, which is an awesome start to the year, but I can see a lot more half glass full with this side than glass half empty. So guys, look, that's it for my post-match review this week. I'm totally looking forward to this week's game against Manly. I'll have my preview for that game either Friday or Saturday, guys, so keep a lookout for that. As always, guys, hit me up on my Facebook page at Bourkeys Top 10. You can get me on Twitter at Bourkey Top 10 with no S. I'll have my link to my YouTube channel coming shortly where you can watch all the previous Top 10s. And as well as the year's preview shortly. And always, guys, this is Bourkey. Bleed green. Bye for now.